is my educational work. Okay. So in the world of education, and I've already hinted at this, and then Jennifer, you added a nice level of detail that I didn't even think of. You could clearly say that there are three ways you can be educated, depending on how you define it. Again, inside of a classroom, continuing ed, which is your contribution, which is a great throw in, and then lifelong learning, where very rarely are you going to get a credential out of it. So I primarily operate, in fact, exclusively based on those three definitions, I exclusively operate in the lifelong learning space. So if you hire me as a family, as an individual person, or as a B2B, a business workplace of some kind, you should not expect that you personally, your family, your young person, your church, whatever, whoever I'm working with, you should not expect that you're going to get any kind of credential out of anything you're doing with me. My tagline, if you will, I'm not a big fan of taglines, but my tagline is, I educate you where the classroom failed you. And the classrooms are not doing a great job in a multitude of areas. And there's a lot of reasons for this. We got into this on some of my earlier podcasts with you folks. But one of the biggest areas is, and we're dealing with right now with the way the economy is trending, and again, come to your own conclusions. I don't want to be a doomsayer. I don't want to be overtly optimistic. It's somewhere in the middle. But we have not done a good job of teaching our citizens economics and financial understanding. So a lot of times people get scared, they get fearful, they get worried, they get anxious about things because they were not taught this stuff. And all these people with fancy letters after their name and such are coming at them with all these different terms and everything. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Can I feed my family? Is my business going to be okay? If I'm in a conventional job, will my job still be there? Can I shop without finding baby food is out or whatever? That's what people need to know. So the conventional classrooms are not doing a great job in that area. So I am coming to the forefront and saying, if you're a lifelong learner, you are much more prepared for life, pun intended, than you are if you are only doing continuing ed and or if you're only in a classroom. So that's what people hire me for, is to fill in the gaps. So, and then the last thing I'm involved in is I am a big believer in helping small towns. And in the state of Ohio, where I am, there's a lot of small little towns, villages and such. And in your state or province, you probably have your own. I love to help small towns. There's a lot of hardworking entrepreneurs in these small towns, sometimes family businesses, multiple generations. So my other contract, my last thing I'll discuss with you all today, is to bring those kind of people into the ecosystem of a suburban area where there's a lot more concentration of entrepreneurial energy, and bring them in to the area. So I have a contract with an incubator that allows me to do that. So reaching out to the corners of my state, the small little towns, the one stoplights, and helping those people who are feeding their families with a small print shop or a small tax business or whatever, bringing them into the suburban area because I live within reasonable shouting distance of Columbus. So that is everything. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, and hopefully I kept it at a level that made sense.
Very good. And it was even good timing. Are there any last notes you'd like to leave listeners? Because let's say that you have more that you can share with them, but you want to leave them, say, your contact information if they're interested in your services, like maybe your social media, like your LinkedIn, you said. Whatever this way they can find you if they want more information.
Of course. One thing that I've been able to do since Mr. Kurt and Miss Emily last invited me, this is a celebration, and I'm very joyful, very grateful for it. Some of your audience might be aware of what's called a one-pager. For an entrepreneurially minded person, it's essentially a version of a resume. although in my view, it's a lot more alive than a resume. A resume usually reminds me of something boring. So I have a one pager that I will send you that you can, by all means, feel free to take that information and throw it into the YouTube channel in the notes, or whatnot. But I will say a couple things quickly verbally that are on the one pager. The first thing is, since my name is so unique, SJ is my name, Baraconi is a Hungarian last name. You're not going to find any other SJ Baraconis, to my knowledge, in America. If you know of anyone with that very similar name, I'd be shocked, and I might fall down and you have to resuscitate me. My name is so unique that if you look it up on LinkedIn, you're not going to find any doubt that it's me. So please connect with me. That is my primary home. Out on Instagram, I use the brand of the Education Sherpa, SHERPA. So if you look up the Education Sherpa or Education Sherpa, you should have no problem finding me. And those are my primaries. I also have a scheduling link where people can schedule time with me. You're not going to be charged like any other professional. I need to get to know you and see if it makes sense to work together. So we can always talk for a little bit. So I have a scheduler link, which you can use. I also, of course, have an email address. I have a phone number. That stuff will be provided to you folks to be posted. And I really appreciate the opportunity. And for whoever's listening or watching or both, I hope I was able to add some value to your day here. And thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. SJ. And would I put my Calendly in the chat? Will you take down my information and maybe you and I can have one-on-one?
I am absolutely glad to do that. I wanted to make sure that if I'm looking at the chat that I'm not putting it in a position where it shows or anything.
Exactly.
But I'm happy to. I don't know when you do live streaming and everything. I'm not a super techie. I know enough to be dangerous, so I'm happy to do that. And thank you for all three of you. Now we're all connected on LinkedIn, and then again, anyone in your audience. That is where I pretty much live, and I would be glad to connect and chat and get to know you. And thank you for that, for suggesting that, Jennifer. Great idea. And again, that's me in a nutshell. In short, to sort of put a cap around this, my very first mentor, who I met over 12 years ago, he suggested to me stuff that I'm still listening to all these years later. Now, did everything he shared with me, do I follow? No. I'm human. I'm a little bit independent minded, and certain things it's like, I don't want to do that. But the one thing I never forgot that he taught me is you have to have multiple sources or streams of income. And I am so glad I listened to him, because if I didn't, this last couple of years would have been very, very painful.
Amen. And I can say that because of my accounting background. I would have told you the same.
Well, hopefully someone will look to you as a mentor, Jennifer, because unfortunately, even after the massive disruption, which hopefully woke some people up to realities, there are still people that are looking for conventional jobs or have one business. And what if something were to happen to that? I am not a doomsayer. I am not a cynic. But at the same time, we are in very unique times. So look at it this way. Take something that you are gifted at, whatever it is, and find a way to offer it to the world, or even to your neighbor, for crying out loud. Start there and find a way to monetize it. Deliver it. Share that with the world. And then you can get to the point where you have 8 different things, like you mentioned, Jennifer, or in my case, I went through all 5, which are mostly contracts, and find a way to share it. And even if you don't have a mentor like I did, find a way to learn from a Jennifer, or in my case, his name was Terry, and find a way to do this, because we are in times where people are looking for help. And conventional institutions, whether they're public or private, and I'm not, again, maligning them, but if you're looking to your local whatever, and I'm just going to come up and say, I don't know, your local chamber or whatever, please don't think that those are commerce
or something, right?
Right. Don't think that that's a bad option. I'm just saying, though, that if you can find a way to support yourself by gifting and sharing whatever it is with the world, you are going to be better off than hoping that the chamber represents you, or that your local politician represents you, or your local government office in economic development or whatever is going to help you. Doesn't mean that they won't. Remember what I said, I'm not throwing them under any buses. I'm just saying, find a way to take what's already in you, put it out there, find a way to monetize it at the same time, and
Right.
deliver and be a producer of things that matter instead of focusing on things that are distracting, which will really not add. So that is my last message for your audience, and hopefully, again, I have been helpful.
Definitely. Emily, are we ready for your part?
I guess, or if Kurt wants to say any ending thing before we end too. Kurt, do you have anything to say first?
Well, I guess, I can add with yesterday, saying yesterday, meaning July 26, 2022, the 32nd birthday or anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. It marks the beginning of the first podcast we got going on here at World Ability Podcast Network, which was World Ability Podcast. And so really a lot of what we're doing here is inspired from that idea of inclusion, accessibility, and accommodation. And so as I venture out and do the things that I do in life, and with our guests here, listening and watching and hearing for where those opportunities are for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, the deaf community, blind community, people with physical disabilities, those living in chronic pain, everyone with a mental health diagnosis, and anyone with a goal of substance use reduction. With all that, I say that's just the conversation starter. So to me, the thoughts I'll add in here is, just check in about how we're doing, making the work we do for everybody. Back to you, Emma.
Kurt, did you want to do like a little bit of an ending, or should I, or is that kind of your ending?
Well, you tell me. That was kind of my ending, but if you're
okay.
asking, you gotta ask.
I wanted to thank SJ for coming on today. And for everybody who has tuned in, and to encourage everybody to check out our social media pages, and with that, I guess for everyone to, until next time, everyone to stay healthy and stay happy.